remember getting a call from the fire department commander telling me that they were not sure they were going to be able to contain the fire. And I said, we've had such terrible loss of life. Maybe the smartest thing to do is pull it. And they made that decision to pull, and then we watched the building collapse.
I don't think there's anything ambiguous about what Larry Silverstein just said there. The leaseholder for the World Trade Center at the time that the towers fell. Now, we're not just talking about the two main towers, we're talking about the smaller building, Building 7, which is the one that a lot of people don't even know exists. That's the building that he's saying they decided to pull, meaning take it down. If Building 7 was taken down intentionally, as the leaseholder is saying right here, that opens up a huge can of worms, because then the question becomes, well, how did you do that so efficiently, so quickly, to make that steel structure building fall within its footprint? Something isn't quite right there. But let's just make sure that we know what we're talking about here. So, according to dictionary.cambridge.org, pull something down, first meaning is to destroy a building. They pulled down the warehouse to build a new supermarket. Other examples, the old bingo hall has been pulled down. Most of the old buildings were pulled down to make room for the new shopping center. You get the point. That's what he was talking about. When he talks about the loss of life and we don't want to lose more people, he's saying let's just get the people out of there and pull the building, and he says they watched it fall. What's ambiguous about that? Nothing. It's very clear what he's saying. He said it right on PBS. And yet, when you Google this, when you put Larry Silverstein and then the words pull it, look what happens. Second result, fact check. World Trade Center Building 7 collapsed due to fire. Google is basically responding to what I'm saying directly, almost like in real time, telling me, no, you're wrong, bro. Because my perception of this event has been factored into the Google algorithm, and it wants to dispute that. It wants to go against that and make sure that we're not thinking the wrong thing about what Larry Silverstein said. Fact check. World Trade Center Building 7 collapsed due to fire on 9/11. Not pre-rigged explosives. Pre-rigged explosives. I didn't even say anything about that. I don't know how they take buildings down, but now I'm wondering, did they have pre-rigged explosives in there? And USA Today is kind of like, Bugs Bunny tells the cops, Muggsy's not hiding in the stove, when he is actually in there. The cookie jar is missing a cookie, and Mom says, what did you do when I was gone? Oh, I didn't eat the cookie that's missing from the jar. That kind of thing. World Trade Center Building 7, which was located near the Twin Towers in New York, collapsed on September 11, 2001. A Facebook video shared September 11 claims that Larry Silverstein, who developed Building 7, gave orders to demolish it. Oh my God, how terrible. Not like he sounded like that's what he was saying or anything. That's the way they're making it sound here. As evidence, it cites a PBS documentary. Yeah, because he said it on there. Duh. And they give the quote here. But the claim is baseless. Silverstein's words were taken out of context and wrongly to imply that he gave orders to demolish the building. There is no evidence the building was pre-rigged. An array of investigations concluded it collapsed due to fire. Okay, this is partially true. Investigations did conclude it collapsed due to fire, but these investigations directly contradict what Larry Silverstein said. And in a way, they're taking the investigation's conclusions out of context and not giving, the big picture of that. You can find that right here at FEMA.gov. You can read this FEMA report on 9/11. World Trade Center 7 collapsed on September 11, 2001 at 5:20 p.m. There were no known casualties due to this collapse. The performance of World Trade Center 7 is of significant interest because it appears the collapse was due primarily to fire, rather than any impact damage from the collapsing towers. Prior to September 11, 2001, there was little, if any, record of fire-induced collapse of large fire-protected steel buildings. Do you understand what you just heard there? They're basically saying that steel-structured buildings have really never been brought down by fire, ever in history, until that day. It happened Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Okay? That's what they left out of the USA Today article, because what does that tell you? That tells you that this has got to be bullshit. It must have been a controlled demolition, because, a plane hit both of the towers, supposedly the main towers, and they fell in one certain manner. Building 7 wasn't hit by a plane, fell in the exact same manner, right in its footprint, straight down. And we're being told one thing by the leaseholder, that they decided to pull it, that they did it on purpose, and then we're being told something else by the FEMA report. So when you're interrogating a suspect in a murder or something like that, a crime, and he tells you 2 different things that are contradictory about, say, where he was. What does that mean? He either doesn't know what he's talking about, or he's lying to you. Okay? My money is that they're lying to us. Larry Silverstein said what he said, and later they went, oh, oops, we shouldn't have said that, because then they're going to figure out that all 3 buildings were taken down due to being pre-rigged with explosives. And what does that insinuate? It insinuates that it was an inside job, that people in America, in high places, cooperated with this. It was, I guess you could say, almost a false flag event. A false flag event means an event which is contrived in order to give a certain appearance, to justify a certain result. The whole problem, reaction, solution bit. Create the problem that causes the reaction that calls for the solution that you wanted to do in the beginning. So, if our government is willing to lie to us to this degree while they're attacking their own citizens, that's what happened here. Our own people, our own White House basically, attacked the citizens in order to justify invading the Middle East, looking for weapons of mass destruction, which were never found. So, based on the belief that militant Muslims were strictly behind the 9/11 attacks, the U.S. drummed up all this patriotic fanfare, and I remember it very clearly because I wasn't really into that stuff at the time. America is open for business, and all these phrases like this, and we stand together united, all that bullshit that they do to distract us from thinking about who was really responsible. And don't think about who was really responsible. Don't look at details too much. Just focus on the Muslim extremists in the Middle East, and let's just go over there and let's get those weapons of mass destruction that don't exist. And they drummed up all this patriotic fanfare to get the public behind the U.S. going into the Middle East for that years and years long war that culminated in the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan just, a year or 2 ago, and where we saw all the people running after the plane and falling off to their death. Well, the United States, first of all, we didn't solve anything. We didn't appear to solve anything. We gave up a strategic position that was only, I think it was 400 miles from China. We gave that up, and we left billions of dollars worth of equipment there, high-end U.S. military equipment, and now people are saying that they're seeing some of these weapons in the hands of Hamas, the ones who just attacked Israel. But we'll get to that in a moment. So fast forward to September 11, 2023, exactly a month ago today. U.S. makes deal with Iran to swap prisoners and release $6 billion in frozen money. The Biden administration basically facilitated $6 billion to Iran, who is a known funder of Hamas. Iran is known as pretty much the hotbed for these extremists. And I actually knew an Iranian woman once, and she gave me a stamp which had a picture of George Bush bound and gagged, who was the president at the time. And it said something like "death to Americans" or something like that. I mean, there is some serious American hatred in that country, unfortunately, and there's a lot of anti-Israeli mentality as well. So it's not that hard to imagine that they are mobilizing these extreme groups like Hamas to commit the atrocities they're committing. But think about the symbolic significance of this. The Biden administration doing this on September 11th. What do you think they're telling us? Think about that for a second. We just got done talking about how, they pulled Building 7 and lied to us about it, and how it really seems like it must have been an inside job. And there's a lot more you can get into that backs that claim up, by the way. Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth is one good website to check out if you want some more information on that. But symbolically, it's almost like what they're saying is, yeah, we did it and we're doing it again right now. That's kind of what they're telling you symbolically. This is what I mean about we can unlock a lot of the motives of, the great oppressor or the Illuminati or the globalists by just paying attention to their symbolism that they wave in our face. They piss on your leg and they tell you it's raining and they laugh. So the Biden administration facilitates $6 billion to Iran, which like CNN and Yahoo News and New York Times, they're saying, oh, no, they haven't spent any of that money yet. It was only for, they're saving it for peaceful stuff. They're trying to, again, piss on your leg and tell you it's raining. If they know $6 billion is coming, they're going to use money they have on hand that would have been for crucial stuff. They're going to use it up because they know they have that $6 billion coming. So that doesn't get them out of this. So, just a few days ago, Hamas invades Israel, and we're told they came on parachutes and they just start shooting people and killing them and raping them and cutting children's heads off and just mercilessly killing, attacking, and I'm not going to sit here and get into Israeli Palestinian conflict details because I'm not an expert on the subject. And I know it's a very heated subject, and people got very heated feelings. But bottom line is Hamas went in there and slaughtered innocent people. And my first thought was, the Bataclan massacre, because it started at a concert. Both of these started at a concert. And both had a lot of really fishy details about them. And it's just, I feel like this is coming to us soon. I don't know, a lot of people feel this way right now. And when your own government is lying to you, look at this here. Look at this Newsweek article. Israel worries U.S. weapons for Ukraine are ending up in Iran's hands. This is back in June. It's October 11th right now of 2023. This was back in June. A high-ranking Israel Defense Forces commander has told Newsweek that Israel is concerned over the risks of weapons provided by the United States and other Western nations to Ukraine ending up in the hands of Israel's foes in the Middle East, including Iran. Now think about how many people you've seen waving the Ukrainian flag and, we got to support Ukraine, we got to support Ukraine. The United States, we're $33 trillion in debt. We don't have the money to fund a war against a superpower like Russia. We're taking side in a war that we can't even afford. And, I'm not the smartest guy on the planet, but even I know that Ukraine cannot win that war. Unless everyone just decides to back them against Russia, which wouldn't make any sense because Ukraine has been known for a long time to be one of the most corrupt countries on the planet, if not the most corrupt. So, we're sending money there and nobody knows where it's going, or maybe we do know where it's going. It's just laundering. They're, sending money and weapons and it's just going to all these other nefarious places to fit into the agenda of the great oppressor. It's like we're living on a big chessboard to these people. We're just little pawns. And they make these decisions and they think we're stupid, but we're starting to get wise and we're starting to figure it out a lot quicker. What we have to understand, and I know a lot of you understand this already, but maybe some of you don't. The news media lies to you. They're lying to you. CBS, NBC, CNN, the New York Times, they've been lying to you for years, and they'll lie to you about your own government killing thousands of your own people, okay? And if you find yourself agreeing with everything they're saying, you've got to turn around and go, wait a minute, am I actually thinking for myself? Or am I doing just what my grandma told me not to do? Don't believe everything you see in the news. Don't believe everything you read in the papers. Malcolm X said, if you're not careful, the news media, the newspapers will have you loving the ones doing the oppressing and hating the oppressed. Malcolm X was a very smart man. He understood these tactics, which are still happening today. So, please look at some alternative news sources. This Real America's Voice show, Law and Border. If you just watch it every day, and they will break down. They will show you what's happening at our border, and it will piss you off and it will frighten you, because they are not, the mainstream news, they're not reporting on this. Okay, our borders are being flooded. The cartels are getting rich. Women and children being trafficked and raped, killed, and they are not vetting these people. They're just saying, "Oh, I'm claiming asylum," and they're just letting them in, and they're coming in at record rates. They're not stopping these people from coming in. And as someone wisely said recently, maybe it's just not bad enough yet for people to realize what's going on. But you've got to look at what's happening in Israel. The way Hamas just went in there at a concert and just slaughtered a bunch of people. They're letting all these people in for a reason. And, they got us saying, "Oh, no, you're a racist. Oh, don't say anything about the illegals. Nobody's illegal. Nobody's an alien." It's bullshit, okay? They're bringing in all these people. I don't know what they're doing it for. If they're building an army or what. But please, people, look at some alternative news sources. I don't want to be doomsday here, but I really think something's coming, okay? And you've got to be able to protect yourself. And this is what the Second Amendment is for. Those people in Israel, they don't have the same freedoms as we do, although apparently they're loosening up the gun laws so that people can have a way to defend themselves. But we've got a Second Amendment to protect us. It's not so we can, go rob a store or shoot our neighbor. These are all contrived events that are, largely contrived by the mainstream and by the overlords, because they want us shooting each other and they want us not to have the right to protect ourselves. They want to make us look like we're not mature enough to do so. And that's why they have to contrive these events. But, you've got to be able to protect your home territory and your family, first of all. And I would stock up on food and water at least for 3 months, worth, in case you lose it. Just imagine you lose electricity and you can't go to the store and things like this. And make some preparatory measures. I think there are some very good times ahead of us, but I think there are some rough times before that. And we've got to be strong and faithful. Like they say, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. So that's the message of this video.